Good morning, everybody. My name is Jared. This is Justice's Waiting Room. This is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. Damn, it feels good to be on the right side of history, right? Um, Start with, as far as I'm aware, um, protests yesterday went off without a hitch. There's always going to be bad actors. People are going to be quick to generalize. And I'll be the one that steps out and says largely what I saw yesterday was peaceful. It wasn't quiet, and it's not that people aren't pissed. I want to make sure that's something I throw out there pretty regularly as somebody who regularly attends protest is the volume and the speakers are getting angrier over time. Call it what you want. Morning. I just want to make sure that everybody, you could be a little shaken, don't be stirred. Oh yeah, it's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, if that's you. It's hard to say if not being a parent is a regret of mine. It's hard to say. Except I'm here and I've survived this far, and uh, I have dogs. I went out and walked my dogs this morning. Made my wife cry because our German Shepherd didn't really act like she wanted to go out because Taylor already had to take her out this morning. And when I just set the leash down, Taylor said, Ernie's just whole demeanor changed. Like she was just like, and so I had to like take her out while Taylor stood there and cried. I had to take Ernie out and walk the perimeter, and Taylor had already taken her out. That was why she was like, "You don't need to take her out." But yeah, my dogs are awesome. It's been rainy all weekend, um, which is great. You know what's crazy about climate change is anytime it's just peacefully raining, I'm thinking about how good of a day that really is. Like we need the fucking rain. Uh, Almost every time that you get it, it's a good thing. Um, but yeah, I'm excited because I'm like within a week from doing a lot of shit I said I was gonna do. So, um, you know, it's kind of weird to say like in the next week I'll formally found the American Socialist Party. My wife and I are gonna get a dumpster. We just have a lot of shit we need to throw away at once. Yeah. Used to regret rainy days, and now I think about how important rain is. Used to, when it was hot and sunny outside, I used to like that growing up. Because so much of your life was outside and you needed to get outside and get sun and get a run and shit like that. And now as I get older, it's like you just have to be committed consistently uh, to movement and exercise. Like my wife and I we're talking about that this morning. Um, I gotta get back in the gym, and it isn't because I struggled at all to move or anything like that. I was walking a dog last night. Took the no, yeah, took the Shepherd out last night, and the neighbor came across the street and met Shepherd. Shepherd stood next to him. Nice. I let go of the leash for most of the time. He just stood there next to our neighbor, and I could like walk away and go to the walk to the mailbox, and he just stood there. Um, such a Shepherd's such a good dog. Um, but yeah, I'm grateful for the rain. Long story short, I'm grateful for the rain. Um, it was gonna be a dumbass hot. If it hadn't been storming yesterday here in Indianapolis during that parade, it would have been unbearable. Um, I mean, I'm talking like taking off layers in public hot. You know what I'm talking about? I'm about to lose this hoodie. You know what I'm saying? Wanna go D&D? Yeah, I mean, I always want to play Dungeons and Dragons, but I don't know. The fact that you said DND and not D ampersand D is weirding me out, if that makes sense. One of the things that I haven't seen is an estimate on the number of people that participated in a protest yesterday. And a Trumper, yeah, Shepard, Commander Shepard. It was, hey, you know, it was funny. So he said he was out in his chair in his front yard, and when I brought him out, he was like, "Hey, who's this?" And I was like, "Oh, this is Commander Shepard." And he said, "What's he going to space?" And I just shook my head, and it was like, it's kind of funny that you say that because Commander Shepard is the protagonist in the Mass Effect series, the video game. And he said, "Oh, Commander Shepard from Mass Effect." And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Okay. I thought you meant like Commander Shepard, like from NASA." And I said, "It's funny you say that." And he just kind of looked at me. He's like, "Maybe we're not." And I'm like, "No, we are." In Mass Effect, Commander Shepard is the commander of a spaceship, the Normandy. It's capable of like interdimensional flight. It's literally like the game. This aircraft is fucking special. It like as a kid that grew up like a Top Gun fan and wanted to be a fucking astronaut, Mass Effect is just like tits. Said 9 milli. No. So remember the math that they're telling us we gotta have for whatever, dude. I don't give a shit. I hate when people talk about your protest is fucking meaningful. The most meaningful thing, most fulfilling thing that you'll ever fucking do is protest against authority. You know, I realize at some point I might have fucked myself at prior jobs because I'm anti-authority. I see what I always have a way of finding out the fuck shit that somebody's doing and try to undermine it. Because if it's like if I don't stand up against it and they keep allowing it to happen, it's gonna take down their company. So like I'm gonna try to like you know how like I can't really say that. I was gonna say most people are good people and I just try to be a good person. I just have to be like a vocal good person because if I feel like if I don't, then nobody says anything. And then if I speak up, everybody's like, shit. That's basically been everywhere I've been. Yeah, when I walked up. So I the thing about protests and my content is that I want to show over time, look, I went to this protest. There were on March 14th. No, that's not true. Yes, it is. 14-3. On March 14th at 200 West Washington, there were 500 of us. Okay? For perspective. And I'm being generous. There were probably less than 500 people at that protest. And I'm being modest about the number. And that was from March 14th. And then I've been to protests after this. Okay. Um, I was a little too early 2 protests ago, and I even hung around. And once it started to fill up, once the cops start to fucking circle and shit, your boy is just like, they're gonna start picking up stragglers. Like, there's a reason I try to hop on here every day and talk about going to protests and shit. Start to go with other people. Start to bring a friend. Um, the larger protests get, the more volatile they become. So protests have all, hey, the thing about it is I've asked other people to let me be your barometer. Um, when they start uh straight up political assassination in the middle of the night, and the killer's still loose. So I just wanna go over this pretty early in the show. So great job everybody on the fucking protest. It was so goddamn good that I don't know. I don't have any idea how many people fucking protested, but I'm telling you, we were pushing 10K when I was at that protest. And I was there early, and I'm always there early, and it's an hours long thing. And man, people they'll really go at it for several hours. It's fucking great. Y'all are awesome. I walked a lap, and the sun hit me, and I was like, if it's gonna be sunny, I gotta get out of here. I'm wearing sweats. I'm gonna end up as a casualty laying on the side of the road somewhere. And I held my signs up over my head for a lap, and I stood there so the people behind me that said they couldn't read my shit because I was bouncing around. Oh, it was an easy 10,000 in Indy, and that was at 12:30. So I know it got massive. 20,000 people went out for Bernie Sanders, and I saw that fill up Monument Circle. So I've seen that crowd. And I was standing above everyone, and I'm taller than everyone anyway, but I was standing on a chair looking out over, this is 20,000. Okay. Because I've been in a formation of 1,300 in the Marine Corps, right? Like I've seen crowd sizes in real life. Um, yeah, I'm super, super proud. My favorite thing about this whole situation that I want to make sure I say on my show, that was fucking perfect. It couldn't have been more perfect. Couldn't have been more perfect. So I really wanted to play Path of Exile, like the video game that's been around so for years that I've been obsessed with. Couldn't even play it. It's so difficult that for like the first 7 years that fucking game existed, I didn't even play it. It's just too hard. And eventually what happened is like a guy was really that I'm really good friends with, he's like, it's the only challenge left. Like, and like we're now thousands of hours into this fucking game. They just came out with a new season, and it started on Friday at 4 p.m. It just so happened, it just so happened Friday, I was having the fucking worst day. Oh my God. I'm like shit hot all the time, right? So I had at lunch, like, so I think about going to work and you're like really good at your job. And for half of a day, I had only talked to one person after 4 hours and had two other people tell me they weren't interested immediately and disconnected on me. So fucking like sales. I hadn't even spoke to anyone. So I was looking at my time off and I thought about yesterday the potential for violence, right? And so like I was to say I wasn't scared is a fucking lie. I'm not talking about it before I do it because I'll talk myself out of it like everybody else. But I was scared. I was scared to go down there, scared of what would happen. Scared of what would happen if my fight or flight kicked in when I seen cherries and berries. Except I want to make sure that I say the black female police officer got out of her car with a sign and left her fucking car sitting there with the lights on because she could park right there and walked up and participated in protests in uniform. So, and by the way, the cadence from Pride, which by the way, Pride started as a protest. And so how awesome was it to there were Proud Boys in Tampa. Yeah. Gosh, the South Florida's in for it. But yeah, I was telling my wife, Pride, if you watch that video, Pride is marching to the No Kings protest as I walk up. Okay. And I don't know who that person was. They had some fucking pipes. But they were screaming, uh, no ice or fuck ice. No, no ice. No KKK, no fascist USA. And screaming that shit over and over. Um, no ICE, no KKK, no fascist USA. It was fucking incredible. And so Pride was marching towards me. Uh, and so I just held up my sign. And so I want to point this out. I made my sign the Path of Exile reference. I'd rather be playing PoE, but I'm out here because fuck these fascists, right? Um, and so what I wanted those Pride people to see as they turn and they were turning in front of me. So they're walking towards me and turning and walking up towards the state capitol steps. And so if you watch my video, I'm oncoming and then I stopped my video so I could get my signs out and fucking point at them. And so one of the signs that said like let it be known like Indianapolis, Indiana participated along with thousands of other protests because we the people said no kings, right? And I made two signs in case the POE reference didn't go over well because it had curse words on it. And I figured a white person, a Karen, was gonna ask me to put that away. It has dirty words on it. And I was leaving, so I was within 10 minutes of leaving to go to the protest. And my wife is like, I don't know why you made a sign that says I'd rather be playing PoE. I don't think like anyone will get that reference. Like taking the air out of the room or whatever, and you're just like, okay. Just reading your comments. But yeah, so she said something about no one will recognize that your PoE reference. And so that was part of my motivation to make an additional sign. Was that my wife was shitting on me right before I walk out the door, like, you gonna make a sign that references this niche video game? And I was like, their servers were crashing yesterday. Millions of people play Path of Exile. It's a wildly popular video game. And she was just like, right. And people at this protest are gonna get that reference. And I was just like, ooh. so I made another fucking sign because in my head I'm like, there's fucking bullshit on this sign. Like I gotta make another sign so in case somebody takes it away. Some cop tells me he's gonna arrest me if I don't fucking get rid of it. Paired with my wife was like, nobody's gonna understand your niche reference, Jared. I'm like, you don't even know. Well, I have a couple comments, okay, to my wife. I saw two of my opponents from the Final Fantasy pre-release at the Mages Comics and Games on the south side of Indianapolis. So I saw two of my three opponents marching in the fucking parade. Um, first of all, and then I was holding a sign towards them as they walked by. It was kind of like the established in Indianapolis was the thought process. Like, let it be known that, like, Indianapolis, Indiana, look how many fucking people are here, stood in mass to in the rain to protest because we said no fucking kings, right? And I had the other sign facing behind me, and I held it up over my head, and my arms were so fucking tired because I'd already walked the lap. But you know, I just can't do this shit. My shit is broke. This shit don't work like it used to. So I was like holding them behind my head and shit, whatever, and like, God damn it, I'm not gonna last very long. This is stupid. And that's why you gotta work out, kids. You gotta work out, see, because you gotta go walk for miles and hold a sign above your head. Yeah, and not try not to get shot. Um, but I just want to point out that at one point I had moved off to the side because people basically had a clearer, better view. Basically, people were leaving the protest or leaving the parade route coming towards me. And so then it became they're right up against my face. Well, you can't read the sign when you're like a foot away. So I was like, let me go stand over here off to the side and I'll hold up my signs or whatever. And the thing about it was everybody that read the sign was like, obviously that's a lot, but that's awesome. Big smile. And then a whole bunch of people kept walking behind me after I had moved off to the side. And other people saw what I was doing and they brought their signs over there. So you're kind of like the billboards as people were walking by. Okay. And this gaggle of goth walked behind me and the girl goes, "Oh my God, is that a Path of Exile reference?" And I was in my head, I was like, "That's one." And the other girl was like, "I can't get can't wait to get home." And they're like, "What class do you play as?" And I was like, I turned over my shoulder and I was like, my homie was like, "You got to play as Slayer and do poisonous concoction into explosive concoction." And she was like, "Is it incredible?" And I said, "Oh, it's scary. Like once you start poisonous concoction, everything. It's just like you toss out three little vials of poison in front of you. And by the way, you use a lot of mobility in Path of Exile because to make your character move faster. And so like almost every character uses the same two skills. Shield charge, which requires that you have a shield in the offhand, and you just run at shit. And at higher levels, your fucking shield charge will just kill every low level mob that you hit, and you just truck everything like you're running it over, right? And then uh, we don't have a main-handed weapon. We are throwing flasks, which is fucking crazy in Path of Exile because it's like if you don't do a zillion fucking damage and kill everything right now, it'll kill you in a heartbeat. That's the beauty of Path of Exile is you're immortal. Like dying's not the thing. Quitting is, right? Like you're immortal. Just start right there. Yeah, you're good. Yep, that sucked. You're gonna have to figure a way out. The only way forward is through. Is my the what I learned from Path of Exile. Don't run away. Run toward. Which obviously, if you've known me at all, that you're like, oh, so like you found a game that vibes with your personality. Yeah, pretty much. I'm on Act 3 again. So I'm playing back through, and what's funny about it is that so not only did the gaggle of goth, which included women, were like, "Is that a Path of Exile reference? Yo, what character are you playing as?" And I was like, "Slayer. What are y'all playing as?" And the girl was like, "You know me. I always got to try to be a witch." And she just stoned me, stone cold. And I was like, "Okay." The witch is like the wizard. Oh, cool. And she's like, "What other characters you play as?" And I was like, "Well, I played Pox's Righteous Fire Chieftain." And she was like, "Okay, how was that?" And I was like, "Well, I'm a pacifist, so it kind of works out because like you don't have to swing anything; it just like kills everything before it touches you." And she was just like, "Yeah, just walking around with that circle around you." And I was like, "Yeah, it's incredible." They were like, "Right on. Well, have a good day." And like they left off, and then I seen multiple people with cameras walk behind me, and they were taking pictures. And then the guy walks up, and he's like, "Can I see what's on the other side of the sign?" And so he showed him the sign, the Indianapolis part, and he was like, "What were those people talking about?" And I was like, "Path of Exile." And he was like, "Oh, I read it as Poe." And I was like, "Oh, right on." Like, yep, it's not on you to decipher what I'm saying. It's on you to interpret, right? So it's an acronym for a video game. And he was like, "Oh, what's the video game?" And I said, "Path of Exile, POE." And he was like, "Oh my God, I play that game and I never heard anyone talk about it in public." Nice to meet you. Have a good day. Like, okay. So multiple groups of people. It's a free game. Hell, I don't know why more people don't like it. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Ladies, if you're like, "Oh, I'm not really into video games." Oh yeah. The only transactions in the game are to add tabs to your inventory for inventory management to make it look pretty and organized. That's the only thing you can spend money on. In cosmetic characters. Like yes, you could have wings. Yes, you could be an angel. Yes, you could be a demon. Yep, you could do all that. You could pay for that. But the game is free. It costs time. And remember, you're immortal. So like every time you die and you just start at the checkpoint, you might lost some experience and shit, but your gear doesn't degrade. You're not like you can't lose levels. Yes, you can lose experience if you die. That has absolutely nothing. That doesn't. And if you take it slow and you listen to what I tell you, and that is follow a path of building. Listen to me. You're gonna look up Path of Exile, and the first thing's gonna happen is you're gonna level your character up one time, and you're gonna push that little plus, and you're gonna see this fucking giant atlas, and you're gonna get overwhelmed, and you'll never play this game again. You need you need to download the Path of Building Community, which is another program that you'll run. I put it on a second screen while I run. It helps you level up your character. You already know. Somebody already did all the math. Somebody somebody has run every iteration of that atlas through a fucking artificial intelligence and figured out what the path is. And all you have to do is follow the path. And it's fucking great. It's a fucking like I'll be playing this game. And keep in mind, my characters from other seasons are uber leveled. Like easily can clear tier 16, tier 17 Uber bosses, like flashy. Like I don't have like a budget, so I have all the gear. And they just launched a new season, and I had to start all the way over. Like I don't get all that legendary shit. I don't have it, so I'd start all over. It's fucking incredible. It makes the game even better because it's like you were dancing on motherfuckers' heads before, but now it's back to Path of Exile, which is an incredibly intense. For the record, story's fantastic. It's a visually appealing video game. It's the first. ARPG I've ever played where I felt both vulnerable and powerful, and typically it's one or the other. You either are under leveled and you go into an environment and just get your shit tanked, or you're over leveled and you walk in there and it's not a fight. In this game is the first time I've ever been like, oh, this is a fight. I'm gonna win it because the bosses don't recover when they kill you and you respawn outside that door. You can walk right back in there and finish that fight. So there's no pride in it. That's one of the things that they take from you is they take pride. How the fuck are you gonna be proud of something that killed you first, right? Um, it's an incredible fucking video game. But for my wife to say like no one will understand that reference. Okay, Taylor. For multiple people, for multiple people, though, at this protest here in Indy, they understood the reference. And people understood the fact that, like, look at Indianapolis, Indiana, in mass protesting on No Kings, right? So if you participate in protests, whether you did or not, I'm proud of you. Fuck yeah. Um, Morning, Bobby, Danielle, Debs, Patty. To the news, shall we? John Hoffman and his wife were shot in Brooklyn Park. I'm sorry, Melissa Hortman and John Hoffman. Authorities confirmed 57-year-old Vance Bolter, suspect sought in connection with the shooting of state lawmakers Melissa Horton and John Hoffman, was not in custody, but authorities say they do not believe he's in Brooklyn Park area anymore. He's 6'1", 220, so he's a brick shit house. With brown hair and brown eyes, he may be wearing a light colored cowboy hat and a dark long sleeve colored shirt or light coat, pants, and a dark bag. They're offering 50,000. I want to make sure that I point out that the media already interviewed his best friends. His best friend said he was a major Trump supporter and Trump voter. His best friend, by the way. Just throwing that out there. So remember what happens when you commit either an incredible act or a heinous act. Look how your best friends will speak on you. That was 100% a political assassination. And in the wake of it, best friend is the first one to say, like, actually, no, he's a major Trump supporter and Trump voter and had a hit list. hmm Talked about it. Okay. Also, uh, that was a political assassination, and calling it anything other than that is mischaracterizing it. This little main character wannabe, uh, Joseph Cheklik of Culpeper. Tried to drive through protests. Oh, and by the way, this is how you know Donald Trump's a fucking idiot. ICE is pausing immigration arrests at farms, hotels, and restaurants so that the workers will come back, so that they don't go out of business. Yo, this is crazy. ICE used chemical agents. Take care. Norma Torres says she was hospitalized after chemical agents used on Congress members Saturday, June 7th, during a visit to the Roybal Federal Building in Los Angeles. Yo. Yesterday, Alaska issued their first ever heat advisory. I just want to point this out. The National Weather Service has yesterday, for the first time ever, issued a heat advisory for Alaska, where it was 80 over 80 degrees. There's a shooting apparently during the Salt Lake protest. This is important because I'm a gamer, and were I not a person who reads the news regularly and has his thumb on the pulse of things as they're happening, in some other life, I was a video game creator, I think. hmm I am fully in belief that there are multiple dimensions, and so there are multiple versions of me on multiple timelines that chased multiple paths. hmm And I think in one of those, because I'm definitely what would you would consider a hardcore video gamer. The only thing I don't do is I don't play video games during work. And I could totally. I have a Steam Deck, I have a Switch, not to mention I'm sitting at my home PC when I'm at work. I'm just on a work computer. Yes, Debs, I absolutely. Well, I mean, I think he reacted by activating a sleeper cell and having a political assassination occur. Look at all these instances of violence at protests. I think he did act out, right? They're continuing to ICE is continuing to show up um, to people's houses. Understand what's super fucked up about all of this is not how any of this works. Every person, every person in the United States is entitled to due process, which means before they come to your house in the middle of the night without a warrant and arrest you and gag you and bound you and throw you in a van and dump you off at some facility that doesn't have facilities. Yep. And fly you to some fucking foreign country. Remember that it is about shock and awe. It is not about results. And that one of the things that bothers me a whole fucking bunch about this administration and power is their lack of concern for other people's lives. About how other people's lives are absolutely fucking meaningless to the point where um, I believe I saw it was either a Republican elected official, former Republican elected official, or just maybe he's just a content creator, pretty high up, like pretty recognizable to the point where I was confused. I was like, is that a politician or a content creator at that level? I can't remember. Um, saying if you voted against Republicans, you deserve to die. And so I just want to throw this out there that you're already seeing a lack of empathy, right? And I would just warn about answering a lack of empathy with a lack of empathy. You're gonna kind of have to be empathetic despite the environment because the environment is not empathetic to you. You're gonna have to do that on your own. But the U.S. Actors Union has suspended a year-long video game strike over a tentative agreement over AI. So, I'm a union member. Join a union if you haven't already. Okay, I have joined WorkingAmerica.org. Earth Angel said Happy Father's Day. Yeah, I've had more people than normal have reached out about Path of Exile. So let me pass on the good word. Okay. So first things first. In my eyes, no matter the league, the best league starter is Fire Chieftain. Okay. Um, Righteous Fire. The creator or the curator of that build, somebody who is well known for this and is like a practitioner. They have a whole website. They stream on Twitch. I don't need to give you all of their information to show you. They're pox.net. Okay. RF is Righteous Fire. It is a skill. It is one of the skills in the game. Chieftain is where you want to try. Chief Written Guide. hmm there's where you end up is PoE Vault. Okay. And so there are guides. Use guides. It makes the game so much easier. And then you're also going to need Path of Building. And keep in mind, there's a whole second game. But right now, Path of Exile, they basically have a new season. And you can literally just go here, download the game. But you're going to want to download Path of Exile, Path of Building, which is build guides, and then Awaken PoE. And you get that off of GitHub. And so, unlike every other game that you have ever played, um, you can just buy gear from a real vendor that is separate from the game. Okay. Most of the time, when you play a massively multiplayer online game where there's a marketplace and shit, it's usually the game also controls the market, and it's super troubling. It feels like a racket. So when that's controlled by a third party, and keep in mind, we're not talking about real money. We're talking about the currency that you make in the game. They have a marketplace that is not controlled by the game. It's Oh, amazing. What it does is it creates a market for gear. So as you're playing through this free game, right? You pick up a sweet piece of gear, but it ain't for you. You can sell it. That's right. It has a value. And people will buy it mm, quickly and pay you for it. It's sweet. It's one of the strengths of the game, and you don't have to participate in that. You could just use whatever gear you pick up. But that's what I do when I'm not talking to you, or working, or hanging out with my wife or my dogs. Okay. And Debs, you know who said they don't care about us? Michael Jackson. Fort Cavazos in Texas is on lockdown. For incident at fort being investigated, no active shooter, CBS News says. But I would say all of those are escalations. All of these incidents of violence, political assassination, this is because of the lousy showing at Donald Trump's birthday parade. To call it anything else is misguided. You're not giving them enough credit. If you think the likes of the Flynns, for the record, who have a hand in a lot of this shock and awe shit, this flood the zone shit, right? One of the things about the court system is you can't overwhelm it. I'm just throwing this out there. This regime wakes up every day and loses. He deserved that lousy fucking parade. He deserved that massive fucking protest against his ass. Okay. Shout out Minneapolis, Minnesota, who called off their parade and people showed up en masse anyway. Yo, look at this massive fucking protest in LA. God. Look at Fifth Avenue, New York. Yeah. How tight a military's cadences when they march is indicative of leadership. And Kara, I think it was indicative of leadership. You know what I'm saying? I can't imagine being one of those soldiers in that protest, how just here's a cool montage. But yeah, I just seen today's the first one I saw. 11 million from National Parks, Alt National Park Service. So I don't know if they're right. And I'm not saying they're right. Like we need more. 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 Sacramento blew the roof off. I know Indy was out in full force. Like I said, I thought it was hilarious as I was watching the Pride protest march and meet up with the No Kings protest. I was like, that there's someone I played Magic against at the Final Fantasy pre-release, and there's another one of my opponents walking with the Pride protest. Um, Dina said or asked what was the number of protesters they were looking for. So 3.5%. 3.5%. So there are, I think there's 334 million. Yep. So if we could get to about 12 million people, if that number gets to 12 million, and if you think about uh thousand protests, right? So if wherever they gather in 10, $12,000, $12,000, 10 to 12,000 person groups with these thousand protests is easily 12 million, you know? I'm sorry that that's the first time I've heard anyone intelligibly speak on fuck, man. How many people need to show up at a protest for it to be meaningful? 10 to 12,000, which for many people is yesterday. Yeah, 11 million is right on that 3.5%. So this is what we said. He hadn't even been in office 6 fucking months. Easily largest protest ever. This is the largest gathering of people outside in Indianapolis since Bernie Sanders came here and spoke many years ago. About 10. And a lot of people have said, what's Donald Trump going to do um, to retaliate? And I think he already did. There were multiple instances of violence, people trying to drive through protesters, ICE opening up, using chemical weapons, police opening up on people, a political assassination with a fugitive serial killer. So I think that already started. So Israel is urging the United States to join them in a program to eliminate uh, Iran's nuclear program. May as well. I thought Donald Trump was not gonna go to war. I thought he was not a war. Oh, hey, a drone strike hit Russia's largest chemical plant in an overnight attack. Uh-oh. Huh. Here's good news among bad news, right? Iranian commander killed in Israeli airstrike oversaw Shahad drone supply to Russia. So even though, you know, Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza, and all the people that are making excuses for this, they think that they can run to Gaza in the future and that it will be because it is holy land, they'll be safe there. Donald Trump wants to build a resort there. The U.S. wants a partner in the Middle East. They're going to build a base with Israel in Gaza. I'm certain that this is the plan because Donald Trump knows that there's a military base there that he can protect his property there, and that if the military, especially U.S. military stations, its people there, then they're gonna golf on his fucking golf course. They're gonna pay him money. Tell me I'm fucking wrong. So good things, even though Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, you know what today is, right? G7. Somebody said, why can't they just arrest him already? Full internet blackout in Gaza. Yeah, I want to make sure I use my platform to talk about the truth about Israel. Israel is not real. It was literally made up in 1948 by Ben Gurion, who was the head of the Jewish agency, who established Israel as an imperialist division of a country meant to mimic the United States. So it's not to say that the United States has not been imperialist. It's not to not say that we have not had manifest destiny. It's not to not say that we have not had rapid expansion. It's not to not say that we're not wrong a lot. But there's no goddamn reason, no goddamn reason, except money, to support Israel, especially given that they're committing a fucking genocide and have ever since they were founded in 1948 by Ben Gurion, who literally made that shit up out of thin air, are committing a fucking genocide so that Donald Trump can build a golf resort and the US can build a military base in Gaza. Book it, Dano. Hi. So I'm making sure I'm using my platform to say free Palestine and Slava Ukraine. And that I don't support Israel in their strike against Iran, and I don't want to see the United States get wrapped up in this conflict. I want accountability. I want Benjamin Netanyahu held accountable. I want Vladimir Putin held accountable. I want Donald Trump, Elon Musk, David Sachs, Peter Thiel, Mark Zuckerberg. I want all these oligarchs and technocrats and fascists held accountable. It remains to be seen if we've got the stones to do it. I think we do. I really do. I think we do. I think that the most impactful thing that I can tell you every day is stop using Facebook Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter, Amazon, and start shopping locally, start doing business locally, start getting your shit from people you trust. And Remember, Iran has a large gas field, and it caught on fire. Um, Israel says it will escalate its attacks if Israel persists. And the problem that I foresee is that Iran has said it will attack the US and US bases. And I want to make sure that we, as hard as we are on Republicans for taking money from Russia, we need to be hard on Democrats who need to denounce Israel and need to get out in front of this and say, hey, when Israel was just trying to be our ally in the Middle East, I was pro Israel because I felt like it was a necessary evil for our ability to move around in the Middle East safely. And the reality is that they are committing a fucking genocide in Gaza, free Palestine, and you gotta stop taking money from AI PAC. And the politicians that you see getting out in front of this and saying, you know what? Before we get drug into another fucking war alongside Israel, who's committing a fucking genocide, I don't care how much money you gave me. Don't care. I don't care who your spokespeople are and how violent they pretend to be. Like I just told my wife, in the next 1 week, I will not only establish the American Socialist Party, but we will go out and get pew pews. So, and body armor. And really want to get to this part. I really didn't want to. Honestly thought something bad was going to happen to me before I got to this part, before I was able to ever actually set it up. And it turns out I'm going to get to set it up, and we're going to get back on TikTok. We're going to stop ignoring the crazy people, okay? So we don't get banned. And we're going to fundraise our little ass off. And again, one of the things that we're looking for is we're fundraising, we're looking for potential candidates. And there's only like 600 and I think there's 535 seats of government. And we've got to identify who's the best candidate for the job, who wants to do the fucking job, who wants to do the job and is the best person for the job that is a socialist. When they find out, hey, this guy from Indianapolis, Indiana, a Marine Corps veteran, a Purdue alum, an Eagle Scout, has founded the American Socialist Party on the principles of pro-equality, of being pro-equality, of being pro-union, and about federally legalizing cannabis as a means to provide a cash crop to the United States that will improve our soil quality over time and improve the agricultural quality in the United States, in addition to give us a cash crop and a useful plant that the United States does not currently have. It'll literally fundamentally change the United States for the good. For the good. Imagine all the people you know that are always wound the fuck up and are always like, ah! Imagine them stoned and just like, hey, everything's gonna be all right, man. Man, things will be a lot fucking better. So, federally legalizing cannabis and then using the money that it will undoubtedly fucking make to make all of our lives better for once and for all. Universal health care, education, income, and housing. Yes, it is the government investing our tax money directly back into us as a people. And the thing about it is you'd be surprised how high you can climb without the weight of capitalism as the driving force in the world. What if it was, hey, the United States took 6 months or less to figure out fascism ain't it? And along the fucking way, they realized this middle of the road shit don't work for me neither. This fucking centrist shit, this fucking gotta appeal to the moderate. Guess what? The moderate is dying. The moderate doesn't vote. Who gives a fuck? There's 335 million people, and you need all of them to want the shit you're selling. And think about this. Think about this. The Republican Party is going to die. They're on their death throes. They got nothing left. When Donald Trump dies and the MAGA gets pushed the fuck out of politics, they're gonna take their ball, their money, and their foreign influence and go home. And what is left is a bunch of people that basically enabled all that. And they're stuck with their bad reputation and they're just gonna lose elections and the Republican Party is gonna be a shell of itself. Thankfully. But the danger is we run into uniparty territory where the Democrats control everything and they do fucking nothing. But at least they're not making up all these bullshit executive orders. See, that's the problem, is that you'll instead get ineffectual leadership that doesn't do anything to move the needle and ends up passing the ball back to some bullshit fucking conservative in 48 years because they didn't make any landmark changes. Why? Because the Democratic Party doesn't have a platform. The Democratic Party has people in it that are part of the Blue Dog Caucus who are members of a Democratic Party that vote conservatively. Consequently, I wonder what percentage of Blue Dog Caucus members are also AIPAC recipients. Let's do a little Google search, shall we? What percentage of Blue Dog Caucus members are also AI PAC recipients? Okay. Joe Biden, there's a reason he's been so quiet, is because he's pro Israel and received money from Israel. Kamala Harris has been so quiet, received money from Israel. Okay. There's a reason trying to ram them into the spotlight and not have a fucking primary season and not having Joe Biden step the fuck down way earlier and them actually primary and decide who the best political candidate is for the future of the Democratic Party. AOC, Bernie Sanders, right? And wiping the fucking floor with Donald Trump by putting real effective politicians in place. Which you've effectively done is the Democrats traded. We give him the presidency, it destroys the party. We win forever. Israel wins. Remember, 100 elected Democrats took money from Israel. Israel is not an enemy to the United States. I just want to make sure we point this out. Israel is not the enemy of the United States. They are an unfortunate ally of ours in that it's beyond unfortunate that Israel is committing a fucking genocide. It's beyond unfortunate. So it's unfortunate that they're our allies. So I just want to make sure when you feel your feelings that your feelings are legitimate. Remember, Israel's not. They will kill anti-Israel sentiment. But I'm gonna keep using my platform as small or big as it gets, and say Israel was created in 1948 by Ben Gurion, who was then the head of the Jewish Agency, as a means of mirroring the United States in its imperialist, expansionist ways. So, for the record, what they do in Israel, what Israel does in Palestine to all these poor people, you notice that, hey, they're doing that shit to us here now. There's a reason Joe Biden and Kamala Harris been so fucking quiet, and it ain't because they're the fucking good guys. So, you need someone like me that you know, that you see every day, that sits in my office and talks about news and politics as the founder of a new political party. Someone that's accountable, that stated their intentions up front. I could have done this all for profit and probably have a bigger audience and syndicated and could make more money, could do all of those things. And I'm an anti-capitalist and I refuse to take orders. So if I decide, oh, I need to make money off this 90 minutes of my life every day, and I decide to be capitalist about the shit, that's when you know that we've lost. It's just the truth. Because we the people deserve the head of a political party that's alive. It's alive. Not that's like some dead fucking asshole that you ain't never heard of and he was a slave owner and shit. Like, shit. Oh, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican? Shit. No. You know what's the craziest shit about all of this? My whole life, no one ever called themselves a Republican or Democrat. They made it made it into a left versus right thing. It's a rich versus poor thing. And the only way it's ever going to be anything but a rich versus poor thing is if we go way left. And we've federally legalized cannabis with the intent of taking all that money and reinvesting it in us, and reducing our costs for housing and healthcare and education, and even in giving all of us a couple $1,000s a month. Just a thanks for being here check. Dead ass. Dead ass. You know what happens in the communities where everyone has their needs met? No crime. Not even white collar crime. Just want to throw that out there. Is that some days we sit here and there's 10 of us, some days there's hundreds. But no, no matter what, all these things that I champion, they've already run. They're already doing. New Mexico, for example, has a universal income program for its residents because of their surplus. So we're gonna have a hell of a week. I'm telling you. Unless I die between now and like Thursday. But I'll have $1,000 that if I lose it, I don't care. That I can go put to establish a bank account to officially start fundraising for the American Socialist Party. I should be able to do that. And then also, my wife and I have to go protect ourselves immediately. hmm and then we even talked about going to the range too. hmm And I just want to throw that out there. It's my least favorite part. It's my least favorite part. Having been the tip of the spear, this is my least favorite part. Because I know what I'm capable of. I know that I can teach other people. And that's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. I really would have rather be I'd rather be buying a shovel. Instead, I'm thinking about cameras and life insurance. Don't forget life insurance. I don't sell it. I don't sell it on the side. You need to get life insurance, especially if you're going to protest. And before you ask when I say pew pews, no, I don't mean pistol. I'm a man of my word on some things. I think I want a Mossberg. Yeah, yep. Got to do what you got to do, right? And the reason that I feel the need to protect myself in establishing the American Socialist Party is because a political assassination just happened in Minnesota. And the person that did it is still on the loose, even though they identified him. He killed two people, hmm? and critically injured others. And I don't fancy myself a target. I've actually feel like I've done a pretty good job of being pretty even-handed in the shit that I dish, right? I like to think I'm just as hard on the Democrats as I am Republicans, and I fancy the Republicans fucking traitors to democracy. And I think I'm harder on Democrats. I make sure that my content is consistent and try to take a measured approach to everything, inject a little bit of my niche, like the things that I'm interested into it. I think it certainly gives it a more approachable flavor. That's what I was thinking about yesterday a lot was how will you be remembered? What did you do during all of this? If you were too scared to leave your house, it's completely understandable given what happened yesterday. Okay. But my eyes going into yesterday should have been the most motivated to protest any of you have ever been. This is the most motivated to protest I've ever been. I made signs. I still have them. It from in the rain, right? Still got them. No matter what, huh? Jesus, Jared. By the way, I don't know if you can see it. My reference to Executive Order 13848. So I did have a sign at a protest on No King's Day. Shit, right, right there. You can't say you didn't see one sign. I might take a picture. Can't say you didn't see one sign that reference Executive Order 13848. Can you see it? Can I move out the way? Yeah, if I go like this. Okay, okay. See right there? Mm, 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 mm. Yeah. Watch out. Talk about Executive Order 13848. Here's an article where Palantir, Meta, and OpenAI have sworn in senior tech executives as lieutenant colonels in a new reserve unit where they will serve as advisors to steer the implementation of AI and military strategy. And you should definitely not. Man, suppressed news. We could go all day. Look at this. Israel's using a hospital as a military base. Every accusation is a confession. So here's, by the way, I just want to make sure we say there's Benjamin Netanyahu in a link talking about once Iran falls, Pakistan is next. Just throwing this out there. Okay? 7 fucking years ago. It's how the first steps that got us to this favor. Good eye, sniper. Oh, by the way, let me introduce you to Coheed and Cambria if you haven't already heard your favorite band. It is a rock band in which the lead singer is a massive islander man with that sings in falsetto. So imagine a fucking rock band, except the guy that can also shred is this huge person. Like he looks like a fucking cartoon character. And he sings in a falsetto. So you're welcome. And they have a very catchy music. Have reach out the footsteps. But yeah, go plant your garden. I'll see you guys tomorrow.